So I've already recorded one video today, but I guess that wasn't enough to stop me getting this letter in the mail just now. Apparently there's been a data breach of all of my health information. And let's see here. I don't know what to think of this. Well, I actually do know what to think of this, but it's getting kind of old, folks. Let's see here. Where was it? I just got back from having some dinner with my mom. Had a little to drink, but I still think this is important, and I'm kind of upset, actually. I make my professional career working on systems of computation and architecture and cryptography designed to protect user information, make people feel confident that the information they share digitally is maintained and kept secure at the highest level. So when I get something like this in the mail, and I'll try to show it here, I think I'll be able to, which indicates, among other things, that my social security number and my address and my date of birth and my name and my diagnostic codes for any medical conditions I might have. Yes, I do have medical conditions. My eyes don't work the same way normal people's eyes do, so that's one of them, for example. Apparently now all of that private health information has been breached and is now available somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but yes, I've just gotten this here. Let's see, notice of data breach, right? That's what it is. So it's the gist of it. Yeah, and so let's talk about, I don't know, why do things like this happen, and what can we do to prevent them? Because I think that's a pertinent thing. When you get a letter in the mail that says that, oh, by the way, all of your information, including your social security number, your address, your date of birth, and all of your medical history is now breached. So, crunchy shell model of security versus defense in depth. What's the difference? When everybody's information is stored in a central location, in a manner that does not protect its confidentiality by the use of cryptography, meaning that when you have information stored in plain text, essentially in a digital filing cabinet with a key that anybody could access after they get into the building without any other further layers of security, it makes it so that opening that filing cabinet reveals all information for everybody. You have a treasure trove in the center, and then you have a crunchy shell. You put a firewall around that. You put a firewall around those crown jewels, and that's how you try to defend all the information. But if somebody breaches that firewall, there's no other means of protecting the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of those information systems. So the crunchy shell model is one in which you have a firewall and then you have some crown jewels which you're just trying to protect in this vault. And of course, that model is subject to problems when you see things like data breaches. The defense in depth architecture attempts to employ many layers of security at different points throughout the system, meaning that you're able to provide greater resiliency, meaning compromising some records, getting into some systems does not mean that all systems are vulnerable. For example, if I'm able to get an access list, right? Or sorry, if I'm able to get access to a list of everybody's email address, it does not mean that I also have the same level of access that would allow me to view a list of everybody's social security number or date of birth or private medical information. I have defense in depth when I have multiple layers of security that protect different classes of information, and I implement effective identity and access management architectures that ensure information is only disclosed on a need-to-know basis. So whatever company this is, I think it was, let's see, PH Tech. Yeah, have a look at their logo there. PH Tech has managed to mess up their identity and access management regime so as to grant the entire world access to all classes of everybody's information all at once under their custody. So PH Tech, I've never heard of them, but they're obviously going to be some vendor or technology platform that is used by some, maybe my medical insurance company, or maybe the government, they might contract with them or something like that. And yes, they've managed, it's remarkable. The goal of effective identity and access management strategies is to ensure that only particular users of a system, such as a medical professional or, my insurance referral, my insurance, agent at my health insurance company, or a government employee within the Department of Health and Human Services, if I'm dealing with state insurance. Only those people have access to only specific classes of my information, and only within certain contexts. That's how identity and access management is supposed to work, right? And that really speaks to defense in depth, right? I'm not even talking about distributed systems here. I'm not even talking about using cryptography and implementing permissioning systems on top of federated identity architectures, things like that. I'm just talking about basic identity and access management. That did not happen here. So defense in depth means effective identity and access management, whether or not you have a central repository of everybody's information. It means that the windows that you use to look into that central repository have curtains that prevent looking at things you're not supposed to look at. That didn't happen here. So that's the basics, right? We have the goal of information security is to enable the CIA triad, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information systems. So confidentiality meaning obviously there's no data breaches. Integrity meaning somebody can't get in there and change stuff. And then availability meaning that when people do need to have access, the access is available and the information is available for them. We're not seeing that in this context. Instead, what we're seeing is mismanagement, incompetence, people not designing things properly, people not implementing effective access control regimes, and as a result, I don't know how many people were affected by this data breach. I'm sure it says in this letter somewhere. I didn't really read the whole thing, honestly. I don't have the time. But lots of people have information leaked, and it leads to problems. So without even getting into how you might re-architect the entire system to be better, that's what you do within the context of a centralized information management and control system, such as a health records database. Now, I think we can all agree that would be necessary for them to do, and hopefully they're going to take those steps. However, for those that might like to, instead of trying to put a Band-Aid over the problem, instead of trying to, just address the symptoms instead of the root cause, right? Let's think about let's think about what the root cause might actually be, right? What are we putting a Band-Aid over by implementing effective access control mechanisms? What are we putting a Band-Aid over when we think about and talk about identity and access management? What about the fact of the very existence of a central repository of everybody's information to begin with? Why does that exist? Why does it need to exist? What about a deployment architecture in which information is distributed across different systems? When I share with my doctor my private health information, why does that information need to be moved and copied into a centralized location wherein other people can plug into it? And why does it need to be stored in the same place as millions of other people's information? Maybe my doctor sees, I don't know how many patients a doctor would see in a career, but not over 1 million, right? I mean, okay, so let's think if they see 10 people a day for 50 years, and so that's going to be what maybe 15,000 days times 10 people per day. Maybe I see 150,000. If I'm a really, really successful doctor running a practice or something, or maybe I'm a hospital and there's like 10 doctors, right? Maybe I could see 150,000 people in my career over 50 years as one doctor. My point is, if the information that I disclose to my doctor stays with my doctor, and that's assuming, by the way, that you see a different patient every single time for 10 patients, different patients, every single day for 50 years straight, assuming there's like 15,000 days, of work days in 50 years. And you don't see somebody repeat once, which very, very generous to say that a doctor could see, 100,000 or 150,000 people in a career. I'm just kind of estimating here, right? My point is, when I go see my doctor, I share my information once with my doctor, and maybe my doctor retains a copy of it, and I have a copy of it. Here's the important thing. I have a copy of it myself, right? So if there's a data breach at my doctor's office, maybe 100,000 records get leaked. Not 100 million. That's 3 orders of magnitude difference. And I have a copy, right? That's the thing. So now the question is, right, they centralize all the records, and the reason why they do this is they say, well, every doctor's office around the country, if I walk into one of them, they want to be able to access my information. So therefore, we need this global database of everybody ever. Wrong. Why is that wrong? Think about it. If I walk into a doctor's office somewhere, I bring with me my phone, right? Or a system that retains my records, something specific to me, some locked box that only I have the key to, whether it's on my phone or whether it's on a server somewhere. But the point is, I'm the only one who can unlock it. There might be millions of these boxes, but they're all locked, and they're all locked with different keys that different people have. That's how you architect an effective distributed information management system. I walk into that doctor's office somewhere else that I've never been, and I say, look, this is my records. These are my records from all the places I've been. Now that doctor has my chart because I gave them all that information, but only after I gave it to them. And I get to make informed decisions about how that works. Now, the one question and the pushback I've heard when I talk to people in the health industry is, how do those second doctor or third doctor, fourth doctor, how do they know that what the first doctor wrote is accurate? There's a thing called digital signatures, digital certificates, digital identity documents. You can digitize chart notes in the same way. And the thing is, when you make a digital signature, you can check its authenticity against the signer. Meaning, if I'm the fourth doctor to see somebody, I can check and make sure that, yes, in fact, that is what the first doctor wrote. It's not something I came up with willy-nilly myself. No, it's signed by that digitally. The point is, over time, people build up their own medical history, and they keep that themselves in some digital locked box that only they have access to. And when you architect things in that way, you're resilient to these kind of data breaches because there isn't a database of 100 million records that gets breached. At most, you have one single doctor's office and every patient that doctor has ever seen, and maybe somebody breaks in, whether physically with a crowbar and gets into the office building, or maybe they hack into that computer system. But that computer system has only ever seen a couple of thousand records, probably, in a small town like mine. The point is, this can be done better. We can use cryptography to create true resiliency. We can create distributed networks that solve this problem so that people don't get letters like this ever again, because this is ridiculous. This is what happens when you have people that think they have the solution and they want to create a global system in which everybody is registered and tracked, where their data can be aggregated without their consent and then mismanaged. And that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. So that's what I have to say about that. And that's how I would architect a solution that would actually work better. Defense in depth, because people hold the keys to their own lockboxes that hold all their information. And within those lockboxes, they can hold whatever information they want, authenticated with digital signatures as provided by other parties, and then present it directly when asked. Imagine how much more private of a system we would achieve if we implemented that type of approach. I reveal only the parts of my identity that I think are relevant. I reveal only the documents and the papers that I think need to be revealed in a particular context. And I am fully aware of what is being revealed and to who. And those things are exchanged directly from me to that person who is going to do something for me, such as provide me some medical care. I'm tired of working within a system where there's 100 million records and where all of them are subject to this kind of mismanagement. Frankly, it's unacceptable and it needs to change. So that's my message here. If you'd like to learn more about the work that I do in terms of trying to change this nonsense, trying to make this stuff not be the case anymore, trying to stop these data breaches and things from happening. If you'd like to learn how to create systems, if you're a developer, if you're a software developer who wants to do so, I'd recommend visiting my webpage. So you can go to www.projectbabbage.com and you can learn how to create systems that put users at the center, that enable the kind of systems that enable this kind of digital lockbox that only the user can open, and then grant access to particular people on an as-needed basis. So with that being said, that is my contribution to this industry. I hope that I can create a world where this kind of thing doesn't happen anymore. Because, there were way more people than just me that got that letter. And not all of them are going to be as tech savvy as I am. Not all of them are going to sign up for that identity protection plan that they're trying to get me to sign up for or whatever. So it's going to lead to some changes, I hope. But data breaches are one of the most difficult things because not only do they expose personal information, but they open up for exploitation a lot of people who are subject to identity theft and really just major problems in their lives. So, robocallers will use their phone numbers to place calls to their friends, for example, and get them to pay money. There's all kinds of digital scams, especially relating to senior citizens and other people that are subject to these types of criminal activity. Bank accounts get emptied, and people who, the worst thing is people who are subject to that kind of thing, they don't even hardly speak up because they think it's their fault and their ignorance and whatnot. So so here's to trying to stop that, and if you'd like to support what we're doing, then I'd welcome the support. I'd welcome people learning more about cryptography, how to architect systems that don't work in a centralized way, put users at the center. Some of the other initiatives I'm part of, you can go to openstandards.cash and talk about technical standards and specifications that put users in control of their information and make it so that there isn't a central repository of 100 million records. So I think I've said enough about this for today. Like I said, I'm pretty upset about it, as I always am when I see things like this happen. And I hope that it can change within my lifetime. So thank you for listening to me, and I hope to see you around the ecosystem of privacy respecting apps that I'm working to create. So I'll look forward to working with you if you decide to join. Thank you very much.